Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our New York Islanders franchise mode here in NHL 25. So, in last episode, if you didn't catch it, we had free agency, and we've also started up the year 3 season simulation. As you can see so far, we are 15-2-4. We've been absolutely fantastic to start the season. I'm not too sure exactly what the reason why we're doing so good to start this year, but as you can see, on the right-hand side here, we're actually 4th in goals for, so our offense has been good. We're also number 1 in goals against. We're 7th on the power play, and we're 19th on the penalty kill. So our penalty kill has still been a bit problematic since last season, but everything else is clicking really, really well. So I'm hoping that obviously that the team can continue to do that as the season goes on. If we head on over to our player stats for the moment, we will be able to see that we've been getting some pretty good offense, especially from, I'd say, our top 9, but more importantly, our top line. If we go to forwards, you can see all these guys here from Vetrano onwards have been doing pretty good in my opinion. So you have like Vetrano on the 15 points, same with Holmstrom and Duclair. Wasn't expecting Holmstrom to be a point per game almost player in the NHL, but he's been really good this season for us. Anton Frendel's having a huge second season with 15 points through his first 21 games. And then you have Nelson on 23, so he's over a point per game. Same with Bjorkstrand, Horvat, and obviously Matt Barzal. So the offense has been pretty good. And then if you look at like the defensive stats, you can see our plus minus has been good on every single defenseman. The only one that's an even 0 is Sam Bolduc, but like you have guys that are plus 13, plus 8. Like everything's been pretty good so far in that sense. And then obviously the goaltending, Sorokin has been on a different planet as he has basically only one regulation loss at this point, and Varlamov does as well. Both of them have great save percentages and goals against, so hopefully we continue to do that. I think definitely there will be a little bit of fall off in this episode likely, but if this team keeps on playing this good defensively and also getting that offense, I think we are definitely going to be a solid team this year. And like, I don't even know if this team's going to need much upgrades as the season goes on, but we do have cap space for off-season, or not off-season, regular season moves if we want to make any moves this season, which is pretty exciting. So I guess I did a good enough job in the offseason that I was able to free us up some cap space. You can see we have $7 million, so we could technically even upgrade this team even further if we need to do that in the next episode. Because in this episode, we're probably not going to make any trades, but when we get to the trade deadline, if we really need to make an upgrade, maybe we could do something like that, because obviously it would be always nice to upgrade some areas, but I don't really know exactly where I would even target, because I feel like our defensive core is pretty damn strong. Our forward group is pretty damn strong. Maybe we could use another winger or something like that. I don't know exactly, but our goaltending is strong. Like, everything seems to be looking pretty good for the season, so I don't really know exactly what I would target if I was to actually upgrade anything at all this season. But anyways, before we continue to simulate more of year number 3, let's get in your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll probably continue to simulate up to the trade deadline and see if this team is able to continue its hot start to the season. So the first comment is from Big T, who says, send Foodie to the A. So he's saying to send down Liam Foodie. I don't even know, do we have Foodie in the NHL? I think we do, right? As a healthy scratch. I don't think I need to send him down, considering there is a chance he would complain about his ice time. That's the only problem, because he is listed as a 4th-line forward. So I get what you mean about sending him down so he basically doesn't complain. However, I could call up as a depth forward like Maggio, but I don't think that's great for his growth. There's not really anybody I would call up. I mean, I could call up somebody like Jonah Gadjevich. No, he's a 4th-liner as well. Joshua Dunn is a minor checking forward. And unfortunately, Martin Pospisil's injured right now. He's also a minor checking forward. So I don't think there's anybody really that would be worth calling up to replace him, just because if we get into any injury troubles, obviously it's important to have a depth forward like him up here. Obviously, Wallstrom's going to be playing some games too, but if we get into really bad injury territory, we need Liam Foodie to play. And I don't know if he would get claimed on waivers if I sent him down, but still, I think it's best we just hold on to him in the NHL, even if he starts to lose a little bit morale for being scratched. Next comment is from a ball of beer, who says, I honestly would advise trading Matt Barzal, get a haul back, and make a push for a Stanley Cup. And to me, that kind of sounds a little bit counterintuitive, because for right now, Matt Barzal's leading us in points. We get rid of him, basically, I feel like we won't make the playoffs. Even if we get a good haul back, I just think it's kind of like a move that doesn't really make much sense at this point. Obviously, if we're going back into a rebuilding state at some point, Matt Barzal could be on the block hypothetically, but right now, I don't think it really just makes much sense, considering he's been our best player these last 2 seasons in terms of points. Obviously, if we get rid of him now, I think our team will just basically start to like fall off a lot because he's our main offensive driver on that top line. Like he's basically the one that's setting up Horvat and Bjorkstrand quite a bit, I think, and also helping out our power play as well. So I think holding on to him for this entire year makes a lot of sense. And then obviously also he's got a modified no trade clause for like the rest of his time here. So we could obviously trade him to any of those 10 teams you see there in the next few years if we want to. So that could be something we end up doing once we go into a rebuilding state. But who knows? Maybe we keep Matt Barzal here till he retires. Maybe he'll be like a career Long Islander, maybe a future captain of this team or something like that. That would be kind of neat. The next comment is from Ben Papke, I think it's pronounced. He says, "Where is Yzerman?" And he means Cole Yzerman. I don't use custom rosters that people like Vasi make in franchise mode usually because I like generated prospects, but that's why Cole Yzerman is not in the series is because of the fact that I use non-custom rosters. Like I use just the default rosters that the EA provides, so there is no American prospects in them, so you won't see guys like Cole Yzerman in this and whoever else is supposed to go in the future drafts. Like I honestly don't know much enough about real draft prospects, and that's why I don't find much interest in using a roster that involves those type of things like future prospects and all that. So just a heads up on that. I probably won't use rosters like that just because I really don't care too much about future prospects. The next comment is from Canadian Eagles, who says, "Definitely stand pat. The team has won 15 of its first 21 games, gotten points in 19 of the first 21. Maybe some minor moves at the deadline, but this team is beyond fine for the moment." And yeah, this team is definitely fine for the moment. When we have had only 2 games out of our first 21 without a point in it, I'd say definitely that's a huge success. So to make moves right now kind of seems like it might be a bit of a risk because it could make the team all of a sudden worse. Who knows? But I think it's probably best just to wait at least till the trade deadline before we start trying to upgrade certain areas, because that way we get a better understanding of what this team actually needs. Like 21 games isn't really enough to kind of understand what our team's kind of being bad at, what they're being good at. We need to kind of get through at least more than half of the season first before we could be like, yeah, well, maybe we need to work on our penalty kill or something like that. Because like if our penalty kill at the end of this episode is still around 18th, 19th, something like that, maybe we look to upgrade it for the playoffs, because we didn't do that last year and that ended up coming back to bite us in that first round against the Habs. So maybe that's something that we look into, but obviously it depends on how it works in this episode. And the last and final comment is from James Blum, who says, "Making a move isn't necessary, but you can get any of those 3Cs. If you can get any of those 3Cs for relatively cheap, that's all I'd do. Send Parson in the other way because he can't play the wing. I think it means he can't play center. Couture potentially. So he's saying that maybe look into Logan Couture or anybody that could play on our third line center spot. That could be an area we look to upgrade for sure, because Casey Cizikas, I think, could probably be more of a fourth line center, correct? Yeah, he can. And then David Gustafsson is listed as a fourth liner, but we could always play him over to the left wing. And then Parsonen obviously would be the one that gets moved out. So that's how we get in another center into this rotation. So that could be an area we look into. But obviously that's something that we're not going to look into fully. We're going to look into it a little bit right now just to see what is out there and how much it would cost for Logan Couture. But we're not probably going to pull the trigger on any deals until at least the trade deadline just to play it safe. So if we do a trade like that, then we could probably send Foodie down to the AHL and we won't have to worry about ice time and all that stuff. So let's go and see what it would cost for Logan Couture, just out of curiosity. Because was Logan Couture on the block in San Jose? I don't even remember, to be honest. I know that William Eklund was, but not too sure on Couture. Couture, yeah, he is on the block. 83 overall, modified no trade clause. 1 year left at $8 million. So we'd have to get them the retained salary, basically, because we only have $7 million in cap space. Does he have any interest in the New York Islanders? He does not. He only has 3 teams he could go to. Man, that's tough. That is tough for the Sharks. No wonder they haven't been able to deal him yet. He only wants to go to an original 6 team, the Blackhawks, the Canadiens, or the Maple Leafs. So Logan Couture will never be coming to the New York Islanders, unfortunately. That would be a really great addition, too, because I do like Logan Couture, former 67s player. But he's been a really good playoff player in his career. Like, he hasn't obviously played in the playoffs in quite a while, but he's one of the more underrated playoff guys there is. So that would have been kind of nice to have for like a third line center, but unfortunately, we are not going to be able to bring somebody like him in this season. We could look in somebody like Granlund or something instead, but he's signed for multiple years. So we're probably going to just have to wait anyways the next episode and see if there's any newer options out there. So I think that's pretty much that. I think we're ready to continue to simulate and see if this team's able to keep up with its good start defensively, because I'm kind of curious on our box scores, but I can't go. If I go back to the box scores and stuff like that, I'm going to have to like sort through all of our games. Because I am curious if we've allowed more than like 3 goals in a game at all this season. Like 2.19 for Sorokin in his goals against. That means he's been very, very good. Like he's not allowing more than 2 goals that often. So we must be really, really good in terms of goaltending right now. I'm curious on how that compares to the rest of the league at the moment. But anyways, let's simulate to the end of December and see if this team could continue off to a good start. We're 15-2-4 right now. How much regulation losses will we be at by the end of the month? Let's find out. Let's see if this team keeps on going. Let's keep it going, boys. Game against Columbus is another win. And then we lose in overtime there. See, like, even when we lose games, it seems like most of the time it's like in extra frames. So it's pretty good. And I don't think Romanov was injured, but I got to double check now. Just don't want to make sure guys are being scratched. Okay, good. He's in still. But an overtime loss, I mean, that's still a point. So we're getting points in most of our games so far this season, which is awesome. Pospisil is back. That's good news for Bridgeport. He was just kind of a filler player, so that way we didn't have any defensive prospects playing on the forward side of things. So he'll come back in. Obviously, we'll continue to keep an eye on Zachary Pratt in the AHL as well, because he's been fantastic down there for Bridgeport so far, one of their team leaders. So hopefully he has a good year for the rest of the season. We beat Buffalo as well. Nice. When is the next time we're going to lose in regulation? Of course. I knew as soon as I said it, it was going to happen. I just knew it. I always speak things into existence. Anthony Duclair has been injured with a strained hamstring. He'll be out till December the 20th. Let me go replace player for a second here and stop the simulation. As Nick DeSimone is back on waivers again. We're not claiming him. I don't think we'll... Yeah, I don't want to claim anybody. TVR as well. No, we are not trading Zachary Pratt. Can I stop the sim, please, here? Thank you. That was a 2 games too much late, but we've lost 2 games in regulation this month, but that's okay. We still have a great record. So if we go to edit lines here, what I wanted to do was get Frundell moved to the top 6 while Duclair's injured, and then Wallstrom could take that 3rd line spot for the time being. Because obviously Frundell is very important. Frundell was doing just as good as Duclair was to start the season, so who knows, maybe the Duke will be on his way out in the offseason or something like that, or we could use him as an upgrade, player that we upgrade from. Who knows? Adam Ginning on waivers. How young is he at this point? 27? 26. 77 depth defenseman. That's not too bad, to be honest, but I don't really need him when I have Stetcher, so that's okay, but that's not a bad option. Caleb Jones as well is probably around the same age, I'm guessing. 29. Never mind, he's a bit older, but he's a little bit worse. Don't need him. But there are some good players going through waivers, so at least we'll be able to claim stuff like that. Damn, we just lost 9-2 to Florida. That's definitely a complete outlier of a game defensively, because usually we have really good defensive games. This Frundell has jumped to an 85. Is he listed as a second liner now? He is. Shout out to Anton Frundell, 21 points, 30 games, plus 16. He's now going to be our new second line left winger with Duclair being back from injuries. So technically Frundell was down here before, but now he's going to get into our top 6 because Duclair will probably go on this 3rd line. Duclair's actually been pretty good though so far, 21 points. How about Frankie V? 22 points. Okay, Frankie V's been even better, because I could put Frank Vetrano as a 3rd liner, but he's actually listed as a 2nd liner. Meanwhile, Duclair's still that 3rd line scoring forward. So Frundell is jumping up in the lineup. Who knows, maybe next he'll take Oliver Bjorkstrand out of the top line, and then Bjorkstrand will be a 2nd line guy. But I'm really liking the way Anton Frundell's developing with this team. Seems to be pretty good, and he looks like he's going to be a useful player in multiple different areas. Definitely a little bit of a tougher month for this team right now, but we still have a great record, so I'm not going to complain too much, as Fulp has been injured in the AHL as a score replace player for the time being, just because he is the defensive pairing partner for Pratt, so I have to put him back in. We have multiple losses in a row, so we are starting to go on a little bit of a losing streak, but it's ended with a win over the Devils. But yeah, that was definitely a tough last 5 games, last 5 games for us. 9-2 loss, that's a huge loss there. Shootout loss isn't a big problem because it's a point still. These 2 games were only by 1 goal, and same with this game against Utah. So technically, even in our losses, we're still hanging around relatively close, which is something that is good for our team. So 21-8-6 at January 1st. Definitely our worst month yet, but we are still first place in our division by 7 points, which is pretty good. Last wildcard spot has 39 points. We're on 48, so we're on a good spot right now still. And yeah, let's actually take an updated look at our team stats here quickly, not our player stats, but I do want to look at our goals for and all that. So we have fallen off to 6th in goals for, 5th in goals against, so those have changed a bit. Our power play has fallen back to 10th in the league, and our penalty kill is actually drastically improved. So that's at least good. So I was mentioning how our penalty kill was 19th. Well, it has now jumped up to a top 10 penalty kill, so we're pretty balanced in terms of everything, which even though we just technically had a pretty bad month, I'll definitely take that. I will definitely take that. So that's a good start. Like, having top 10 in everything is exactly what this team needs. It shows that we're a very balanced team. Hopefully our penalty kill continues to improve, because like if that's an area of strength this season, hopefully that helps us get out of the first round this time when we get to the playoffs. So let's go another month. Let's keep on going a month at a time. Might as well. See what we do here against Boston. Come on, boys. And we win that one in a shootout as we're getting another trade offer, which I'm not going to do, but it's Khudobin, our elite goalie prospect, a third, and Wolski for Garland and Fisher. No, thank you. Vegas really wants to offload Connor Garland, which is interesting, but I'm not trying to upgrade our right wingers that much right now. I don't really know exactly what I will upgrade when we do, if we do anything, but yeah, this team might not need to make much changes going into the playoffs, which is great. So let's take Mitchell out of this spot, get Fulp back in. He's up to a 71, and Pratt's jumped up to a 70. That's good to see. We'll definitely take a look at his stats at the end of this episode as well, if I remember. Game against New Jersey is a loss, so we are still losing games a lot more as of this last few months, but that's okay. We still have a record that's way better than anticipated, I would say. Back-to-back wins there. We're almost on 30 wins on the season already. Can we get it before the end of the month? Because we got 4 games left, and we need 2 wins. Jesus, these trade offers from Vegas are kind of crazy. Khudobin, Pratt, 4th, and George. So our best prospects in a 4th rounder. For Connor Garland, 2/3, and Oscar Sundqvist. No, thank you. No, thank you. We beat Vegas. We lose to Pittsburgh. Can we beat Tampa or Ottawa for win 30? Yes, we do. And win 31 as well. 31-13-6 at February the 1st. Yeah, this team's definitely looking pretty damn good. We're 8 points up on the Rangers for first place in the Metropolitan Division, and we're 18 points up on the Devils, who have that last playoff spot in our division because they aren't in a wild card. Yeah, we're probably in a really good spot. Like, I think almost at this point we're very close to clinching a playoff spot. Not necessarily, but probably by like the end of, maybe even close to the trade deadline, we could clinch a playoff spot just because our division's pretty weak compared to us. But it's been a really good season so far for this team. Has anything improved in terms of goals for and all that? Let's see. We want to go over to here. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. 7th in goals for per game. So we're still falling off a little bit there, but we're 2nd now in goals against. So our goals against once again has jumped back up to being a top 3 team, which is great. Power play is 9th in the league. Penalty kill is 8th. So our penalty kill was 19th to start this episode, and it's gone up 11 spots. So everything's still looking pretty damn solid. And Sorokin's rocking a 9-13 right now, which is pretty good. And a 2.6 goals against, so he's been damn solid for the team. Let's continue to simulate. Because we're going to go to the day before the deadline, and then we'll take a look at some player stats, and obviously take a look at what's out there if we want to do any upgrades this season. Like, we have the money to do it, so we might as well look into it at least. I don't know for sure if we're going to make any moves this season. Obviously, those would be in next episode if we do anything, but this team has been good the way it is right now, so I don't really know if we need to make any huge changes. As we're getting offered Anders Lee back, which I don't want Anders Lee back, but I appreciate that, St. Louis. Don't need him back here because we let him go for a reason. Let's see what we got here. Game against Ottawa. Again, we beat them. Devils, we lose to them. That's okay. Carolina, we beat them. Rangers, who are the only team like that's competing with us for this division, we lose to them. Pospisil was never injured. Game against Seattle is a loss as well. Detroit is a win. Yeah, we're definitely a little bit more inconsistent in the second half, but our numbers have improved in areas, so there's definitely positives to take away from this episode for sure. 5-4 shootout loss, so that's another point. Final few games of February. St. Louis is a 4-2 win. San Jose should be an easy win. Hopefully. Maybe not. They're actually playing pretty good. We shut them out. Nice. And game against Toronto to wrap up February is going to be a 5-1 loss. So we are 36-17-7. We got 2 more games to simulate before we're actually a day before the deadline. We are still first place in our division. Last playoff spot has 62 points in our division, which is literally 17 points back of us. They only have 2 games in hand on us too, so it's not going to make that big of a difference. The wild card right now is on 63 though, so we have a bunch of teams in our division, or at least 3 teams in our division that are trying to get into the wild card spot. But at least for us, we have. Technically, if we were going based off just Eastern Conference, we'd be the 3rd best team behind the Panthers and the Maple Leafs. So let's get these last 2 games done, and then we'll take a look at our player stats and also take a look at what's out there. As we just lost to a bad Columbus team, surprisingly, but we shut out the Winnipeg Jets. So 37-18-7, pretty damn solid. Let's see what we're looking at in terms of player stats. Damn, Varlamov's killing it as a backup right now this season. A .930 save percentage through 17 games. And he's in the last year of his contract. So if he doesn't retire, he's probably going to demand a ton of money. But anyways, we're now 11th in goals for. So our offense has kind of dropped off a bit. Not crazy, but still has dropped off a little bit. We're still 2nd in goals against, which is fantastic. We're 18.9% on the power play, which is 10th. And our penalty kill is top 6 in the league now. So it has jumped up quite a bit. So I don't even know if we need to target our penalty kill, as I was mentioning in the early stages of this episode. But let's go on over here. And yeah, let's look at the playoff picture actually in the Eastern Conference right now. So right now, the wild card has Washington on 68 points. And then the Atlantic has the wild card in 67. So the fact that we are on 81 points, I mean, with 20 games to go, we're probably very close to clinching a playoff spot, and we don't even need to worry about much things, which is great. So, technically, I guess in the Metropolitan Division, we're the 2nd best offensive team. Is that the case? Yeah, it is. So, we're the 2nd best offensive team in our division, and we are the best defensive team in our division. Our power play is top 3 in our division, and our penalty kill is number 2 in the division. So in relation to our division, we're really good. 9 shorthanded goals as well. All right, pretty good. Let's take a look at some player stats so far for the year. See who's been doing what. Hopefully there's some good numbers that we're not really expecting from our team. So Matt Barzal's over point per game still, so that's why I'm not moving him yet. 64 points, 62 games. He's been great. Horvat's on 61, so he's just under point per game, but on 29 goals this year, so he might actually outperform, actually maybe do around the same as last year. Maybe a little bit less, actually. But he is already almost at the same amount of points he had in year number 1, which is kind of crazy. So he's been great. Brock Nelson on 58 points. He's been fantastic. Glad we brought him back. Casey Cizikas on 21 points, doing really well. David Gustafsson even on 20 points is really nice to see. So he's been picking up points on the power play. Glad I gave him some power play time. Juuso Parson has not been that bad, to be honest. 16 points in 62 games as a 4th line option. His morale is fine too, which is good. And his takeaway numbers, because we brought him in for takeaways, have been very good. 30 takeaways to 19 giveaways. So he's doing exactly what I really wanted him to do, which is help out the bottom 6 in terms of being better defensively. So maybe we still hold on to Parson depending on what is out there. Left wing side of things, Frondell's now up to 44 points and a plus 18. He's been really good this season, and he's very close to being able to take over that top line left wing spot. But he already has more points than last year, way better plus minus. And he's already got some shorthanded goals and points as well this season. Like, he's already got 7 career shorthanded points. So we're kind of developing him to be like one of those type of useful players that play power play, regular strength in the top 6, and also on the PK. So very much liking the way he's developing. Great takeaway numbers as well. So Frondell's looking fantastic. Declare on 39 points. He's not been too bad, but obviously Frondell has definitely taken over his top 6 spots. So is Duclair going to be a guy that gets moved out in the offseason? Maybe, but it's hard to say. He only has one more year left on his contract after this, so it's not too bad. Right wing side of things, Bjorkstrand's on 56 points and 27 goals. I really like that we brought back Bjorkstrand. He's been a really good fit here. No clause on his contract too, which is nice. $6.5 million for that type of point production, I'd say is worth it. He's probably on pace for a worse year than last year maybe, but he's still been very solid. Better in the goal scoring department for sure. Like, he should easily crack 30 goals this year, which he didn't do last season. For Toronto on 39 points, Holmstrom on 29, so Holmstrom kind of slowed down scoring-wise, but still has been good. Dufour on 10 points, he's starting to pick it up a bit, and Wallstrom had 1 goal in 3 games. From a defensive standpoint, Dobson's up to 44 points. He has 8 goals now, which he had no goals when we last looked, I think, which was for the first 21 games of the season, I think. So he's been very good. Pollock's on 23 points, Romanov's on 18, Pellick's on 12. Mayfield's been fantastic defensively again with Bolduc. Like, these guys might have a -2 chemistry, but both of them have been very good in terms of the plus-minus the last few years. Like, Mayfield was a +5 only last season, which isn't crazy, but Bolduc has been really good. Like, he's been a +23 in the last 2 years combined, so shout out to Sam Bolduc. And Stetcher has the 4 points still in 7 games because he hasn't played in this episode yet. Goaltending, Sorokin's on a 910, so his save percentage definitely has dropped off quite a bit, but still has good numbers. And then Varlamov has been king as a backup. Holy, 930 save percentage in the 17 games that I mentioned. Looking good. We only have 2 shutouts this season, yet we have these good of goalie numbers. That's kind of crazy. No assists from any of their goalies so far. All right. Let's take a look at stats updated around the league to see who's leading, just out of curiosity. So currently it's Connor McDavid with over 100 points already. He's having a crazy year. Austin Matthews behind him. Zach Hyman. The usual suspects pretty much. All right. Most goals so far this season is Rantanen and Matthews. Over 50 goals already for both of them. So there's a chance both these guys finish with like 70 plus goals this season. Just crazy. All right. What about best defenseman so far? Adam Fox and Cale Makar both fighting for that right now. The plus-minus is going to go to Fox. So Fox right now is the Norris favorite, I'd say. But definitely a good little race there. Best goalie so far in terms of wins is Joe Woll. Most shouts so far, Stuart Skinner, Alex Georgiev, and Jonathan Quick still playing at 41. Best save percentage by starter so far, Connor Ingram with a 919. All right. Goals against average by a starter, Jonathan Quick. It seems like Jonathan Quick is now the starter in New York, considering Shesterkin left, which is interesting. Any goalie goals so far this season? No. Okay. Best rookie for points, DeAndre Harris, that franchise guy that went second overall, has 38 points so far this season. Looking pretty good for Washington. Svechkov, Sikora, etc. Okay. Now we need to take an updated look at our AHL. I do want to take a look at Pratt. Yes, he's the only one that really matters in the AHL. I want to know how he is doing in his season. 40 points in 53 games. He is a -15, so Bridgeport's kind of getting beat up, I guess, a little bit, but he has definitely been a bright spot on that AHL team. Like, he's been very good offensively. Hopefully he's growing in some of those areas too, because that'd be great. Is he leading the entire team in points? He is tied for the team lead in points. Yeah, he has been great. Him and Maggio are definitely the best players in the minors by a long shot. Like, the point gap is kind of crazy. So shout out to Zachary Pratt. And yeah, Skarek has actually been good. Lennox has been good in save percentage, but they just haven't been able to win games or get much offense going. It's interesting. All right, so there is that. Now the question is, what is on the trading block? Is there anything interesting that we could use to upgrade our team even further? Like, right now, I'm content with keeping the team the same, but if there's something crazy out there, maybe we look into it for next episode. So in terms of the Ducks, they have Vakanainen, Forbert, Sasha Pastujov, I think his name is pronounced as. Boston, just some prospects, so nobody important. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is still there. We don't need goaltending at all, though. Pacioretty, Vlasic. Wow, Vlasic has dropped off a cliff. It's kind of crazy because I was looking into, like, when I'm making my rosters, I was looking at Mark-Edouard Vlasic, and his first multiple years of his career, he was really good in plus minus, like a career plus 100 and something. Over the last few seasons since 2018-19, he's been like a minus 80 something in real life, which is insane. So he has definitely dropped off quite a bit. Tyler Bertuzzi, not a bad option, but I don't think we need a left winger because we already kind of have a bunch of those. Same with Mikheyev, we don't need him really. Soderblom, Brossoit, don't need goalies. Athanasiou as a third line center, not really needed. Jason Dickinson is still on the block, and he's listed as a third line scoring forward. I don't know if we have the value for somebody like him because he has been playing pretty damn good this season. 50 points. He is also plus 21, so the Blackhawks might actually be in a playoff spot, so it wouldn't really make much sense for them to move him unless it's just because he's in the last year of his deal. But if he wasn't too costly, he'd be a really good third line center, and then we could probably move Cizikas to the fourth line, but I don't think we're going to be able to do a deal for Dickinson without giving up an elite goalie prospect, likely. That's my guess, which I don't really want to lean towards doing. I would assume that's what it would cost, but we'll look into it. I'll see the trade finder and see if Dickinson would cost not a lot, but I think he would. And we also don't have a lot of picks, too, to move, which kind of sucks. Provorov on the block, don't really need defensive help. Fleury on the block, don't need him. Like, I feel like we don't really need a lot of these type of pieces. And I don't really know what I could upgrade. Gustafsson, no thanks. Larson, Kopp. Kopp is a third line center. Did he have any interest in us? I don't remember. He did. So Andrew Kopp is still there as a guy that could be like a third line center, but he's actually listed as a second liner, so he might complain a bit. So I don't know if that would work. I mean, if we did bring him in, I would probably have to take Gustafsson off the power play, but I don't know if he would be a guy to bring in. Edmonton has nothing. Florida has Bobrovsky. Not that we need goaltenders. LA, Fogamo. Ryan Hartman's not bad in Minnesota, but I don't think we need right wing help. Hartman can take faceoffs too, but he's not really worth it as a third line guy. Joel Eriksson-Ek is still kind of interesting, but he's a top 6 guy as well. JT Compher is a third line center. Isn't too bad. Has a modified no trade clause. He would come here, but he is signed for an extra year. Freddie Gaudreau is a third line center. Is not bad either, but he's not a huge upgrade from Cizikas, so eh. Montreal, Savard, Barré-Boulet, Pinard, Johnson, Bjork, eh. Nashville's got nothing. New Jersey, prospects. Rangers, nothing. Ottawa, Claude Giroux is a third line center. He's actually listed as a second line center. So he probably wouldn't like it. He's signed for 2 years at 6.292, so he's kind of expensive for a 39-year-old. Batherson's there, Shabbat, Zub, and Perron. I don't really think any of these guys kind of make much sense. I don't know why Batherson's faceoffs are an 80, because he's never been like a center to me. He's always been more of a winger. It's kind of weird. Nothing in Philadelphia. Pittsburgh has nothing. San Jose. William Eklund is still on the block, and he has still been really good this season. I think he's over point per game, but he's on a non-playoff team. He's listed as a first line forward. He would be so great, but we don't have anything to give up for that. Granlund has too many years. Tyler Toffoli, don't need him. Logan Couture still on the block, but once again, we could only be the Toronto Maple Leafs to Habs or the Blackhawks to bring him in. Kind of sucks, because he would probably be a great addition for that third line, but he does not have any interest to come here. Jordan Binnington, Anders Lee's back on the block. Falk, Krug, Pierre-Olivier Joseph. Yeah, I'm not seeing really anything that would grab us a huge third line player. Unless we brought in, like I was mentioning, Jason Dickinson. He's probably the best of the bunch. Utah has a bunch of players, but nothing that we'd probably need. Garland. Thomas Hertl is a third line center. No, that wouldn't work. I don't even think I would want him as a third line center. Oh, Oscar Sundqvist. Let me take a look at him for a second. He's not really a huge upgrade. He's okay, but he's not bad. Nothing there in Washington either. What about Winnipeg? No. So I think the only one that would be interesting to bring in if we were to upgrade our third line center spot is Jason Dickinson. But the cost of that is probably going to be substantial. Also, where are the Blackhawks in the standings? Does it make any sense for them to move them? No. They are second place in the Central Division, but they want to offload one of their best players. I don't think I would do that then. But I'm still going to look into how much it would cost for Dickinson. Do we care about the AI making realistic trades? Because I honestly don't know. But they do want to get rid of Dickinson for some weird reason. Maybe because they have Michael Misa in the system as well. I didn't even realize they drafted Michael Misa too. That's kind of crazy. But the cost for Dickinson's probably going to be astronomical, right? Romanov, Bolduc in third. We can't do that. A first Pratt in Bolduc. I cannot do that. That would probably be the closest one to making sense. Oh, and there's the one that I was thinking was going to be the case. Khudobin, so one of our elite goalie prospects. We do have a high elite goalie, so technically Khudobin could be a guy that gets moved, but I don't really want to do that in a first-round pick. That first-rounder could end up being a good player, too. Like, this is basically, it would be an all-in type of move to do. We get rid of an elite goalie prospect for Jason Dickinson. I don't know if he's actually that good or not. He has been great this season. He's not that great at faceoffs, but he definitely would be the best option for our team. But Khudobin's probably developed quite nicely this episode, my guess. He's probably up to like a 70 plus, right? Let me take a look. 68 at 20. He definitely will be an NHL goalie at some stage, I think. So it's like, do we want to move out from him? I don't know, because, I mean, Solovyov definitely is the goalie of the future. Khudobin would probably be more of a backup at that point. But both these guys are going to be duking it out for sure. I'm definitely not moving out Pratt. We know Pratt's our future defenseman, so if we were to make a trade, it would probably be that Khudobin in the first one, but I don't know if it's something I really want to do. Like, it does sacrifice a bit of our future, but we do feel a little bit more safer making a move like that now that we have Solovyov too. Gives us an extra year of Sorokin and stuff like that while Solovyov develops. Could be something we'll look into, because Solovyov is obviously going to be really good at some stage. But Khudobin could be a really good future goaltender as well. So that's a really tough decision to make. But they're definitely our highest valued players in terms of our prospect pool. So, like a grade A prospect in a first round pick for a guy that's going to upgrade our third line center spot, I mean, it could be doable. We'd have to also probably give Dickinson power play time, like I said, and take Gustafsson off the power play, which is doable too. Just think of Dickinson being in this spot instead of Cizikas, and then Cizikas on the fourth line. So he'd basically be like a 90, 88, 86, 82, and then Gustafsson would be over here. Parsonen would probably be scratched, and Foudy would be sent to the AHL. Like, we'd definitely be a really strong team like that. But is it something we should do? Maybe the reason Dickinson's doing well is because he's playing with Bedard, though. Like, he could be playing not down the middle. He could be playing on the left wing. Actually, take a look at the Blackhawks lines quickly, because I am curious on where he fits into their core. Maybe that's why his offensive numbers are so good. He's not playing with them. He's actually playing with Khrushchev and Nazar, and he's doing that well. So that's kind of impressive. Technically, if they moved us Dickinson, they could move Nazar to center, and they still would be fine. I don't know if it makes sense still from their standpoint, because they've been so good this year, though. Igor Shesterkin and net, though, might be helping a lot. They do have some injury troubles on defense. Yeah, I feel like it would be a great addition for our team, but at the same time, I don't know if it would just make logical sense from at some point. So if we didn't trade for Dickinson, though, there's nothing really else out there. I think we would probably just send the rest of the season with that roster. So, it's a tough decision, regardless, for our team to make. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Near Calendars Franchise Mode. So in next episode, we will take it to the trade deadline here in year 3, and we'll simulate the rest of the season. Obviously, this team, I think, should be a lock for the playoffs, but obviously, do we make a substantial change and bring in Jason Dickinson to upgrade our team a lot and make our team maybe too good, that we're going to be a first-round exit, getting rid of a good goalie prospect in the case doing that? I don't really know exactly what I want to do next episode, but I think this team should be obviously a playoff team right now, but are they going to be a playoff team for long? And if we bring in Dickinson, is that going to help us out that much more? So think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.